to a 10-1-10-1 review. My name is Nessa and today we're going to be talking about Roots of Pacha, specifically PC version 1.2, and how I felt after playing the game for 10 minutes, 1 hour, 10 hours, and 1 year in-game. As a person who does not have a lot of time to play games, I think that first impressions are really important, and the first 10 minutes and an hour of a game should give you the basic rundown of what the game has to offer. That being said, I also know that farming, life sim, and cozy games can have slow starts, lengthy tutorials, or they just need some extra time to shine. Which is why I think reviewing the game at 10 hours and a year in-game is important, because how I feel after 1 hour may be completely different than how I feel at 10 hours, and that could change again after 1 year in-game. I won't be rating Roots of Pacha on a scale, but we'll definitely talk about my experience throughout the year and what I liked and things I wish it did differently. Also, since Roots of Pacha has a single player and a multiplayer mode, please note that this review is for the single player version only. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Roots of Pacha is an indie farming simulation game developed and published by Soda Den. As of this review, it retails for $24.99 USD on Steam and the Nintendo Switch eShop store. It is also available for PlayStation and Xbox. In Roots of Pacha, you can farm, raise livestock, research and develop advancements in tools, items, and buildings to push your clan forward technologically, grow your relationships with your clan members, and live your best life in an ancient prehistoric era. You are a clan member of the Pacha tribe who has moved to a new land in the dead of winter at the urging of your shaman, who received the message to move from the spirits. In this new land, your clan starts a new life and forge relationships with other tribes in the area, all the while inventing new ideas and contributing to make life easier for everyone. Why did Pacha call you to this mysterious land, and why did you end up with the Pacha tree as your totem? Find out as you navigate this new land to find your place in the world. In the first 10 minutes, I was able to create my character with a variety of skin color, eyes, eye color, hairstyles, and tattoos to name a few options. The customization menu feels familiar if you played games such as Stardew Valley, with arrows to scroll through different styles. I had such a hard time deciding what I wanted to settle on. After customizing my character, there is a cutscene to catch the player up to speed about why the clan moved to the new lands, with a very impressive shot of the Pacha tree. My character wakes up and it's time to start clearing out the fields. The tutorial highlights what's on the player's overlay and gives the first quest to find seeds, plant, and harvest. So far, I was enjoying my time in the game, although there were already a lot of characters to keep track of, and I was not really sure what their relationship to me was at this point. The pan over to the fields was also both exciting and overwhelming, since there was obviously a lot of work to be done with all of the rocks, weeds, and woods in the way. In my first hour, I went around finding seeds to complete the quest and really appreciated that the game actually understands how overwhelming it is to meet everyone in the tribe. So when you start talking to someone for the first time, a little relationship card pops up to show you who the person is and who they're related to. Right away, after talking to a villager, I was introduced to the Contributions and Prosperity System tutorial, which outlines how the player can get contribution points by putting items into the contribution box, and use that point system as currency in the game to trade with other villagers for goods and services. And it also talks about how the clan will naturally gain prosperity to develop new ideas and change how they live. While I was exploring and talking to villagers, I was also introduced to the cooking mechanic. I love that whenever you cook a dish for the first time, the dish is highlighted in a little snapshot photo. Cooking is very important for stamina management, as eating food will replenish your stamina in this game, and also, depending on the recipe, will provide extra buffs, such as temporary increase in movement speed. The game did not make me talk to all of the villagers before I could move on and do what I wanted to do, which I really appreciate, since I prefer to meet people organically in time instead of having to run around with my first day hunting everyone down and forgetting who they are. At this point, the game was giving me lots of freedom to do whatever I wanted, while still giving me a gentle guiding hand in the form of beginner quests. So I decided to start farming and use my hand axe to clear the field and plant my seeds. The hand axe is a very versatile tool which can till, chop wood, break rocks, and even help me fish. I was really appreciative of the ability to do a lot of things with one tool, and the fact that you naturally move away from this as you upgrade your specialized tools, since they become stronger and use less stamina. It's a great introduction to the gameplay loop for beginners of farming sim games without overwhelming them with switching through multiple tools right away. The fact that later on you can commission tools and they are made one at a time also helps with easing the player in. Other mechanics that the game introduced me to during the 1 hour included fishing, animal friendship, and crafting. Although I don't want to spend too much time on every single mechanic in the game, I want to highlight that the fishing in Roots of Pacha is quite different than other farming sims where you have to keep your cursor on the fish until the bars fill up so you can catch it. The more you catch of a fish species, the more knowledge you gain of it, and the less bars you'll have to fill up to catch them. Animal friendship is created by using your flute to play a small rhythm minigame to attune to the wild animals to the point where they like you and want to come to live in your village. The crafting mechanic is pretty basic in the sense where you can craft from a menu whenever you have items required for crafting in your inventory. There are lots of interesting items to craft, more of which are available as the clan prospers, that can assist you with farming and producing refined items for your crops and animal products, as well as decorative items such as fencing and paths. After 10 hours in game, I made it to summer 11. I moved out of my grandparents' house and built my own near the river, as well as built 2 animal huts and had a variety of different animals that included ibexes, wild boars, and ostriches. Unlocking these animals also gave me a variety of different mounts that I had access to. I like that you're not limited to only one species for mounts and can ride on whatever your heart desires. I also like that the animals have different stats in production and speed, as well as cosmetically look different from one another, so it really encourages me to make friends with lots of different animals. I visited the savannah and the beach areas around the village and grew a bunch of crops, as well as increased my fishing knowledge by fishing a lot. I also built a few machines to help farming and processing produce easier. Additionally, I unlocked Flint by completing the offerings for the Glyphodon totem to unlock the tools. Totems like the Glyphodon are found by exploring caves. They can unlock new ores to upgrade your tools and new powers you can use in the caves, such as the ability to fly or jump across the different platforms so you can explore more of the vast cave network. Each totem requires offerings and provides clues to what totems would like through the cave paintings that you can find while you're out there exploring. I made my way to the owl totem for its offering challenge, which needed a root vegetable, which I interpreted to be a potato. However, since I already contributed all my potatoes in spring and I forgot about them in the summer, I thought that I would have to wait a whole year before I can advance. Luckily, the totem is not picky about the offering and was willing to take a sweet potato in the potato's place. But it took me way more than 10 hours to figure that out, so I spent a lot of my 10 hours not being able to advance in the caves or upgrade my tool beyond flint. Usually, it's around this time when I connect more to the characters in games, and Roots of Pacha is no exception. You can gain friendship levels with the villagers by talking to them, dancing with them, and giving them 2 gifts a week. I started to get cutscenes for different villagers to learn more about their backstories and their motivations. I really like that I started to know the characters slowly, and even though it was overwhelming in the beginning with such a big cast, I was no longer feeling that way after 10 hours. Other tribes, the Magrani and the Yakuan, also came into the picture during this time, and I like watching their cutscenes as well to establish who they are as people and their mistrust of each other. At this time, I was also starting to learn more about the romanceable characters. Each of them have such different personalities that are also highlighted by their different dancing styles, and I really like that they each have their own aspirations and goals that they're trying to work through. After 10 hours, I was still motivated to play. However, there was a point in time where I didn't know whether I would be able to move forward with the totem offerings, so that definitely hampered my experience for a few hours until I decided to try planting sweet potatoes to see if that worked. This of course was my own fault because I just made the assumption that the totem would only take a potato for some reason. Once I was able to finish Owl's totem a few hours later, my motivation was reinvigorated since a new ore was unlocked and I could progress. Of course, a little caveat here is the grind was starting to set in during the 10 hours. The days did start to blend went into one because I was doing a lot of repetitive tasks that include farming, moving around the map to collect seeds and find wild animals, using the flute to increase animal friendships, mining a lot, fishing, just basically lots of repetitive tasks to get to the goals that I wanted to accomplish. After 30 hours, I went through an entire year in-game. I had a variety of different animals, and I was in the process of breeding them to make offspring with higher produce and speed values. I had good knowledge of a lot of different crops, and my contribution to the tribe was pretty steady, where I could mostly trade contribution points for what I wanted without having to save up too much. The clan was prospering greatly, and they built a lot of different buildings around the village, such as a school, a stage, an overlook, and an area to train, to name a few. I was dating most of the romanceable characters, but I didn't get anyone I wanted to marry to 10 flowers yet. So let's talk about the full experience, starting with the things that I liked. Here are some things I like. I like the contribution system so much and how your character feels part of a community. Seeing the villagers come together over time to make the clan more prosperous is really impactful. Since in most other games, your character is in charge of everything, such as paying the costs and materials, and either initiating the building by talking to someone, or building whatever is needed themselves. In Roots of Pacha, the villagers will slowly accumulate contribution and start working on their own projects around the communal space. I love going over to see what the villagers have added. It really makes me feel like my property values are increasing without any effort on my end. I like that plants will mutate the more you learn about them. This system really encourages me to plant different things to see the wild and domesticated versions. Visually, I also like how it breaks up the plants and how they look in the field. In the same vein, I love how the animals look different even when they're the same species. I like that you can breed them together to increase their offspring stats and they will look like their parents. I like the customization options available in-game. Although the item catalog is limited due to the prehistoric setting, the game gets around this by having the option of painting on some of the items. I think that this is a really great way to showcase creativity and allow the player to customize in an immersive way. I like the different festivals in the game. There are 2 festivals in the summer, fall, and winter seasons, and surprisingly none at all in spring, besides the first rite of passage. Each festival comes with different minigames, such as the tug of war during competition day, and finding out who the judge is and making their favorite dish during the clan gathering in the fall. The different minigames really make the festivals stand out beyond just a place to talk to everyone, and I really like how the festivals are immersive in the prehistoric setting. I like that the game gives you a prompt where you can choose to date someone exclusively or have the option to date everyone. Sometimes in games, I'm not sure whether or not the NPC characters approve of the player dating other NPCs while they're in a relationship with them, so I usually try and get hard events for everyone first before making my ultimate choice. Knowing that I can still unlock hard events and date other people if I wanted to is a great option in my opinion, as well as the ability to choose to be exclusive with someone if you're not into dating around. I like the separation of seeds and tools in separate tool belts, which can be accessed with the keyboard shortcuts. Not only does this free up the inventory, it also makes switching between the inventories really easy to do. And here are some things I wish were different. I'm not a big fan of the animal totem mechanics in the cave. Although it's fun to turn into an animal totem on a story level, the system itself is very restrictive because there are designated locations where you turn into the totem and then turn back into human. For instance, if I want to turn into owl, I would have to find an owl marker on the ground, turn into owl, and then find another marker in an area I want to be in order to turn back into human form. I found myself flying around to see what's there, only to run into invisible walls after maybe finding 1 or 2 new platforms to go to. I do want to add the caveat that I actually like the different totem challenges that you go through after you finish an offering, and they really encapsulate the different ways that the totem's powers could be used to solve puzzles. So I think if we had more of that in different areas, then I would have been totally okay with this system. And I wish that there was a way to turn off fishing and the animal friendship minigame after you reach a certain level of knowledge. Although I think the minigames are really cool and unique, they also can become very tedious to play after repeating the minigame so many times, especially in the beginning when you're trying to build up your menagerie of animals and add easy contribution points from fishing. I think that if there was a toggle to turn the minigames on and off, then I would be more likely to get nostalgic for how the minigame is played and turn it back on later when I want to play it, and then turn it off when I'm trying to grind. So I definitely want to keep playing Roots of Pacha and have not grown tired of a grind after a year in-game. Version 1.3 is expected to be coming out in spring 2025 with lots of new features, including new animals and mutations, a new tundra and island region where you can visit the Magrani and the Yakuin tribes, and a new bug catching mechanic, among other things. Since this is a big change, I want to jump back into the game once the update releases to see what's new. Also, since I haven't been able to get married or have a child in the game, I want to do that as well. Well, there you have it. If you think this game is for you, I hope you give it a try. If you like what I do, or if this review helped to inform your decision about the game, then please consider liking, subscribing, just to boost the algorithm and help other people find my content. Until next time, I've been Nessa, and this has been a 10-1-10-1.